What's up, guys, and welcome to Discraft's 2022 Big Rip Classic presented by Ledgestone. We're bringing you chase card coverage here at Eagles Landing. I'm Kyle Simmons, joined by JC Rowe. What's up, JC?
How's it going, man?
I'm excited to be here. We're starting on hole 1. It's a par 3, 310 feet. It seems like it's gonna dogleg right, but it's fairly straight once you get down there.
Yeah, most players will probably opt for a forehand. You might see some turnover shots, but first off, you see Thunder Schultz here from Baton Rouge area doing exactly that with a forehand.
And here's that backhand you were speaking of. I'm sure this will be a soft little turnover, maybe with a fairway driver.
Yeah, he might. Chad's got some sneaky power. It's probably a mid-range. Turns and burns it a little bit, but it should be easy to get 3 on this hole. One mistake you don't want to make is getting in the rough. These first few holes you'll see are very rough.
Yeah, if you get off the fairway at all in these wooded holes, it's almost instant bogey. It's straight jail. There's not a good route out. You almost always have to pitch directly out.
And third up, we had Jonathan Fletcher. Not too local to the area. He's from Nebraska, I believe, but a strong player. He's actually got an A-tier win in 2022 and a few B-tier wins.
And here's Cameron with the unconventional route. You're going to see this a lot today. Catching metal on the first hole. That's a good way to get rid of your first hole jitters.
I would say. Yeah, you'll see a lot of those from Cameron. That's pretty much his specialty. He's been working on the backhand, so you might see that pulled out, but Thunder giving it a long bid there.
And he's lucky not to be too far in the rough. I mean, he was right on the edge where he could step out. If he's 2 feet to the right, he may not even be able to pitch up to the basket.
Solid run. Chad doing the same. Jonathan with the routine tap in there. Good way to start off the round.
Should be routine putts to finish off this hole for the rest of our card.
Yeah, Cameron putting it under the basket.
Still the last one to putt.
That always feels good on your first hole of a big tournament like this to walk up and be the last one to putt. 4-2, anyway. All right, now we have hole 2 here. It's uphill, probably about 330 feet. Probably plays more like 360. This one, you'll probably see some fairway drivers, maybe even distance drivers out of some of these guys.
Yeah, and it is hard to tell on camera, but probably about 75% of the fairway, it just goes very steeply up.
And again, you have the treacherous rough.
I'm interested to see how this this overhand will land on the slope, see if it'll stick or not.
Yeah, Cameron puts a lot of velocity on the disc and a lot of force on the disc. It really comes out and does some crazy things when it hits the ground too.
He looks like he might be in the left side rough.
Thunder here, he might even be opting for a mid-range. That might be a PD though. It's worth the note, Thunder is sponsored by Discmania. He's not just wearing the shirt.
With a great shot, whether it was a mid-range or a PD, that's exactly what you want to do. Hyzer flipping it right up the middle and pushing up the hill as far as possible. Chad looking to do something similar. Ooh.
This hole is so deceiving because it's so far uphill. Some of those lines that look like they're about to go in the basket, they do land quite a bit short.
Here's our first look at Eagles Landing rough.
It's just the AVR X3 that they just...
Is it?
And that was a pretty good effort, but like you said, I mean, this is probably an outside the circle putt and uphill.
Cameron giving it a decent bid. That putt's a lot tougher than it looked on camera. Ugh. Jonathan finding the rough as well.
Man, it is tricky over there.
Still having something to contest with,
Yeah.
but does it nicely. Saves the par. Probably not too happy about that, but he's definitely happy he saved the par.
Confident stroke by Thunder. Nice to go ahead and get under par on the second hole of the tournament.
Yeah, you'll find Thunder's putts they create thunder when they hit the basket. He's a routine spin putter and is not afraid of a 40-foot comeback putt. Chad tapping his 2 as well. And Cameron, unfortunately, tapping in for the bogey, bringing him back to even.
All right, hole 3, it's another par 3, 313 feet. It's a pretty small gap. It's dead straight, 300 feet. If you can do that, you'll be in a good position to, make a birdie.
Yeah, Thunder putting a little too much hyzer on that disc. He wanted to hyzer flip something up, I'm guessing, and just overcommitted to the hyzer.
Looks to be a great line by Chad.
Oh yeah.
The hardest shot in disc golf, throwing it straight. Perfectly executed though. Let's see what Jonathan has in store for us. You can sneak off the trees.
I'm sorry, hugs the right side majority of the way, but just catches one of the last trees. He'll probably have a circle 2 look though. And this is another unconventional style of play. I guess the tomahawk line's not open up top. So Cameron here opting for a flex forehand.
Looks like he nicked something about halfway down the fairway. There is a lane down the left side, so he should be able to pitch up for his par from where he's at.
There's some putts in there.
I'm not sure where Thunder ended up, but again, he's pretty fortunate to be able to even, make an attempt to
Advance down the fairway.
Yeah.
Cameron a little closer than we thought. He had, I would say, probably about 70 feet, but gave it a decent bid from that distance.
Looks like Jonathan had to go with the hyzer putt. Maybe he was cut off by that tree. It was a good effort, but not enough. And that's a tough bogey from Jonathan. And there's that rough showing his teeth again.
I believe that was Thunder, but yeah,
excuse
it's not predicting the future. Jonathan does tap in for the par from about 20 feet. But yeah, as you were saying, with Thunder on the rough, that low ceiling, I mean, anywhere you get in there is going to be an awkward putt. Cameron's saving his par, no problem there.
Yeah, but it's worth noting, once you get past, I believe it's hole 7 or 8, the course does open up greatly.
Right.
The front 9 is very wooded, it's very tight, but you really want to keep your score, manageable in these woods and really let loose when you get out to the open holes.
Right. You don't want to be a hero in the woods. Get your birdies as they come and, attack the back 9. You got hole 4, 320 feet, slight turnover. You have 2 trees right in the middle of the fairway that really makes you, I don't know the word. makes you aggravated because you throw a perfect shot and still end up hitting one of those trees. It feels like Chad overcooks his, opting not to hit the trees as most people would do. See, perfect shot, hits the tree.
Yeah, they really force you to commit to a specific line. That was pretty close. I hope he didn't kick too far into that rough. We'll see.
Cameron opting for another flip up forehand, but turns it over a little too much. That's going to be rough. Thunder breaking out his first forehand of the round, it seems.
Very interesting run up from Thunder. It's the first time seeing him play personally, but
he's very methodic in his whole game. Jonathan finding that right side. He kicked off a little further than we'd hoped. Or that was, yes, that was Jonathan.
yeah, Thunder not in quite as bad a position, but honestly a worse result. Looks like he was trying to go for a turnover and maybe caught something up high that turned into a roller. He's going to have another shot coming out of the rough.
Cameron, fortunately, able to pitch out. Another thing to note about this hole is the green is very fast as well, so running this can be kind of scary. As you can see, Jonathan has pushed further down the fairway, or past the fairway.
Chad with the only birdie look of our card. He doesn't quite connect, but like we spoke about earlier, pars are okay as long as you're not taking bogeys on these first wooded holes.
We got Thunder here trying to save his par from a knee on the left side of the fairway. Probably not too much there. He looks like he kind of had to lob it up there and give it a half go.
Just off the front lip for Jonathan on the uphill comeback putt. And I believe this is going to be a double.
Yes, it is, unfortunately. The rest of these putts should be pretty manageable. But Little Black Creek, Eagles Landing is showing its teeth on the first few holes as expected. Trying to take out one of the competitors in Thunder.
It's a disappointing par for Chad.
Thunder borrowing Chad's disc. So that brings us to hole 5. In years past, this was 2 holes. This now combined into 1. It's a par 4 uphill. You really want to just play it. You don't really want to push too far left, but left and forward is good. Most guys are probably going to be throwing a fairway up the hill and then just trying to fade slightly left.
That looks to be a great shot, and it is. That's almost exactly where you want to land. You could place your disc there every round and be very happy.
Oh, yes. And that was actually where the original pin was. So Chad, being pretty local to this area, he probably remembers that shot well.
Looks like Cam was trying to go with the skip play, and it didn't get back over to the fairway fast enough, and he's going to be in the rough on the right side.
Thunder opting for this outside hyzer play. It's really just a placement shot. escape any danger of hitting a tree early, but he really needs that to push. Looks like it might have a look.
You didn't tell me you're doing that.
That's what.
And can we also just admire Thunder's mustache? I mean, that is a stash.
It's quite impressive. I did notice it as he was walking back. In tandem with the hairstyle.
Oh yeah.
And the worst mistake you can make on this hole, Jonathan hits early and is in the rough.
Yeah, he's got a lot of work to do. I guess he just pitched out. Probably smart, take the medicine, get up and down for a bogey.
And he does not like this either. Flexing out too early, and he's going to be on the right side rough again, throwing 4.
Yeah, these woods are really eating him up right now. Cameron fortunate enough not to push too far. He actually has a slight look. Kind of overcooks that forehand again.
That looks sweet.
Yeah, Thunder not getting all the way back into the fairway where he wanted. He did have a patent pending look. That looked, I mean, it looked decent from our angle. We see how close he is to the basket.
This is another one of those greens too as well that slopes down, plays really fast. So anything left short is going to be kind of scary.
And finally, we're at Chad's second shot off of his great drive.
Pushes a little long on that fast green.
Yeah.
Probably just trying to commit to hitting a gap. This is Thunder for his birdie look.
Just a bit short. And I believe this is Jonathan for 6.
This would be a great putt to hit right now. Just a little high. He's ready to get off this hole. Cameron looking like he was really just trying to lay up and gets an unfortunate roll.
Yeah, there are a lot of roots on the ground around this basket, and that can happen sometimes, especially with the slope behind it. That's a really good putt from Chad.
Yep, and that puts him 3 down through the last 3. It's a really good start.
Good putt for Jonathan. He unfortunately cards a 7, which I would imagine is extremely deflating this early in the round, but there's plenty of holes to make it up, and let's hope he can gather himself and focus on his next shot. Some dance moves by Cam.
Looked like that one hung onto his finger a little bit, pulled it right, and I believe that'll be a tap-in bogey for him. Thunder just cleaning up the par. It's very unfortunate for Cameron because I'm pretty sure he was not really trying to run that putt and got an unfortunate ground play. Now we move into hole 6, one of the tighter fairways on the course. So, as you read, it was a par 4, 405 feet. Really, a lot of players might try to attack this, but most will probably just play a putter down to the middle and then opt for a big hyzer over the top.
I don't think about that.
And in the same fashion as the rest of these holes, if you're off the fairway by 2 feet, you're in jail. You have to walk this hallway on the left side. If you get far enough, then you have a pretty open look to the basket. Some may opt for a big hyzer on their second shot. But the main thing is just hitting this gap. Whether you throw fast or throw slow, you have to hit the gap.
And there is a Mando as well. That's why
What a
players aren't
skill.
opting for the big hyzer off the tee.
You gotta teach me how to do that.
I was just joking, Chad. You're safe.
And that was a pretty good look right there. You want to finish right on this, but not too far right, because that opens up the look. The fairway kind of jets out from the left side. Right about where Cameron ended up, actually. So he'll have a tough look to get around that. And not to mention there is an elevated pin on this as well.
Boom.
This looks great. Let's see if he can hold on.
Catch the tree right when he didn't need to, but he'll have an easy look for birdie and maybe even an eagle look from range. I sensed a little bit of frustration on that throw. I don't know about
Yeah, he was getting some demons out with that. Common theme in these woods, patent pending, stand still, stand out shots. Cameron, a similar shot on the opposite side of the fairway. He had some bad ground play.
Does a great flex forehand. Pushes it a little long, actually. He might be a little timid to run that putt.
Routine layup for Thunder.
Jonathan was a little too far probably to run the eagle, but hits the man-made tree stump thing.
That's about as good a description as you can come up with. Yeah, it's unique, but that's Eagles Landing.
Chad just laying up for his par. Cameron looking to probably grab this birdie. Pulling it right again. It looks like he's got a little bit of yips on the putting green.
Yeah, maybe thought about the last putt before this one. Doesn't make the correction. Does this time. Cashes in on his par.
I've seen some high scores on this. I've also seen some twos, so par's not too bad. It's a little aggravating with a 400-foot hole. Most of these guys can probably get there in one if it was wide open, but I think any of these holes you'd be happy to take a par on.
I'll take a par on this hole all day.
As you can hear one of our players agreeing with you, yeah. Many people would take a par on this hole all day. There's a high scoring separation. The line is just very demanding.
Jonathan with good composure there, not getting razzed by the golf cart.
And a good bounce back. I mean, he took a 7 on the last hole to come back and birdie a very tough hole. It shows his composure.
All right, now we move out in the open. As you can see in the backdrop, the wind is blowing. We have a 400-foot hole here playing to another fast green if you push it too long. If you land it short and left, there's a tree that will block a lot of putts.
Thunder hated it immediately out of his hand.
He was playing the hyzer flip, and there is a right to left on this this fairway today, so really never got a chance to get the disc over.
And you may not be able to see it on camera, but these guys are actually kind of throwing over a valley. Just beyond this tee pad, it slopes down pretty significantly and then slopes back up towards the basket. This looks to be a really good line if you can swing it in.
Oh yeah, that's about as good as you can place it right there. He'll have an uphill look, a little sketchy going towards the hillside, but Jonathan showed he's a good putter so far, and I'm sure he can knock that one down.
Yeah, similar to mistake to John as Thunder. Chad not getting as much flip as he'd want. That crosswind pushing it farther left.
I really like this play from Cameron. He didn't get as far as he needed to, but with it pushing back right, he doesn't have to contend with that tree on the putting green. And that was a really good play from Thunder. Uphill in a headwind, low ceiling.
Yep, similar thing from Chad.
Giving it a good bid, but just not enough juice.
Jonathan with a great putt, caught him the lone birdie.
Really showing you how to play the hole. Just a nice simple hyzer out there and hit a putt.
Which honestly, the next 3 holes are very similar. You want to throw your disc out wide, let it swing in, drop it on the basket. There's not much to contend with as far as obstacles. It's just how close can you land.
Yeah, lots of sloped greens. And depending on the day, the wind can really be blowing out here, and that putt, even that Chad had, can be intimidating.
Yeah, the lake, it seems the closer you get, it can really draw up some wind. And these next few holes being on the dam or thrown down towards the pond, you can see the banners in the background flying. I'm sure these guys were throwing some significant wind.
Yeah. Hole 8, downhill 320, OB surrounding the basket on this peninsula out here. Going right into a headwind. Players gonna be opting for an overstable fairway or mid. Jonathan looked like he put a move on that, but still didn't get the distance down there, even though it was downhill. You have to really be careful because it's across right to left headwind, so don't throw overstable enough, you flip it over, throw too overstable, and the wind will carry it off to the left side OB.
With the wide hyzer trying to swing it in, he's calling for it.
Just doesn't quite get the ground play I think he was expecting. Chad with a couple wind reads, maybe he can make the correction.
Looking like he has. And that's pretty much parked. That's a great shot. I would imagine in calm conditions, these guys are throwing putters mid-range because it is significantly downhill. But in a headwind, they're disking up to negate some of that.
And as we talked about earlier, it looks like he stayed in bounds, but it looked like Cameron was rolling out of bounds and got saved by one of the OB stakes.
Yeah, that's going to be a trend in this round with just the way he throws the disc. When it hits the ground, there's going to be some very unique reactions.
Just off the right side again. Jonathan was a little low in his attempt, putting right into a headwind. We'll have Thunder up now. He's got the wind blowing over his right shoulder right now. Not sure if the disc is going to drop or carry. And unfortunately, hits left side. Yeah, and as you were saying earlier, this in calm conditions, this is a very routine hole. You just throw a nice stable mid or putter out there. Cameron finding the cage on this par attempt. Tap in for the bogey.
Yeah, he's really struggling with his putts this round so far.
Chad looking to take the lone 2 here. Still taking his time. And he gets it. Thunder's not messing with you. The wind is actually blowing really strong.
Yeah.
And
You can see it if you don't believe us. You can look out to the water, and this is a lake, and it's getting close. It'd be rough if you were riding around out there right now. It's creating some waves. It's a very significant one direction wind.
And with Jonathan's tapping, that moves us a whole 350 feet. You can hear that wind we were just talking about. This hole plays, the entire circle is on a, I would say, 30-degree slope. So a lot of players are going to be throwing their disc out wide as Chad does and hoping that it crashes in and it just stays on the green. But what you'll find is that most of them roll downhill.
Yep, and there is OB on the right side. If you throw something a little too understable and this wind catches it, you will find yourself out of bounds and may lose your disc forever. It is not fun over there.
See that one pushing Jonathan's disc out wide. It's not a bad play if you're really just playing for par to throw out there and maybe give it a run uphill. I played this event, and the conditions actually down in that little gully weren't as bad as they seem right now. But throwing out high, the wind is going to take the disc.
Yeah, where we are now is probably the most exposed place on the course. This next 3 holes we're going to play.
I would imagine Thunder's throwing a PD2 here, probably the most overstable in his bag. Gets it close on the green, but not sure if that one rolled down or not.
Yeah.
Be curious to see how Cameron attacks this hole. Looks like he's going with the tomahawk.
Oh my goodness. I was curious on how a disc would react in this much of a crosswind with a tomahawk.
Right.
Now, do you know, is he throw very overstable or understable disc when he's throwing a tomahawk?
I believe he throws, so he has a couple of shots. In this particular situation, he probably threw a Nuke OS, but he also has a crazy, complete somersault, 550 plus foot shot with an air freedom. We might see that. He gives it a good run over the top of the basket, which was probably the miss you won on an uphill putt.
Yeah, this kind of shows you a little bit of how downhill this is, but it is significant. It is steep. If you hit metal and don't land flat, this is kind of what I was alluding to. You roll a long ways, and that's going to be a very tough par look.
Yeah, that probably plays like a 50-foot putt right there. And you just had the roll away, so that's in your mind as well. You might be a little timid on trying to actually get this into the basket.
I mean, that was a great effort. He was a little scared, I'm sure, after it bounced off the chains again, but it did sit this time, fortunately.
Thunder able to hit the tall grass and stay up top.
Good putt from Thunder. Wind on his left, and like I said, it's steep, so and the footing isn't good either. He's probably, it affects your putt, I would imagine, when you're standing on such a strong slope.
Yeah, it definitely affects your balance. That's another hard putt right there. Cameron's feet are probably above the basket on that putt, so putting that down is not something you normally do. Jonathan tapping in for his par. He had a pretty decent layup, it looked like earlier.
All right, and that will end our front nine coverage. Please join us for the back nine as we watch our players contend with the wind, some more elevation change, and a lot of OB coming up.
Yeah, with the roads and the wind, it should be a crazy back 10 actually. We'll give you a bonus hole, right? Okay, cut that out.